everybody. This is Grant Sparks of the Grant Sparks Show, and I am super pumped to have you today. This is episode 355, and what is the cost of pretending and people-pleasing? I heard a great quote. Everyone is an artist until rent is due. But that doesn't mean we can ignore our authentic, creative, beautiful selves. You know, I heard this quote, everyone is an artist until rent is due, from an article I saw. And in that article, it talked about the percentage of trust fund kids and multimillionaire kids and trust fund babies who are in the arts. And it was wild because there was a high number of these people in the arts, and there was a lot of critiques in the comments. And the critiques in the comments were saying things like, oh, it must be nice to be rich, or, oh, how can I make a ton of money so that my wife or my kid can lose $40,000 a year on that bakery or cafe? We've heard these memes. But someone else in the comments said, listen, everyone is an artist until rent is due. And what that meant was, if you actually look, we could look at multimillionaire and trust fund kids and poo-poo them or critique them, or we could learn something. And what was learned from this was this. Everyone that has their needs met will likely default to their authentic self and the arts and humanities. And I thought that was super hope punk. I thought that was super encouraging. And so for today's show, I've been really thinking about authenticity. And I've been thinking about what it means to be authentic and what it means to be artist, because for several reasons. Number one, there's not a better time than right now to actually be talking about this and actually for you to be acting on this. Now is the time to be acting on this. But the other thing is that so many people are struggling with this, and this word has come up so much in people. Authenticity. We're going to break down where this word comes from. I'm going to give you my freedom framework real quick, REAL, how to be real, my framework on reminding myself what it means to be authentic in a world where we have responsibilities. We got to meet our responsibilities. We've got to pay our bills. Rent is due for many people. And at the same time, we get sucked into it where it starts to become our identity. And someone called me out about that this last week, and it really stuck close to me. And it really set me on a spiral. So I'm talking today about this word that everyone's starting to hate, especially because of social media, and that is authenticity. And asking the question, why being authentic is so hard in a filtered, performative world. Have you ever, if you're on the business side of things, have you ever found yourself on a Saturday thinking, I'm going to take some time off, and they're like, people aren't going to respect me if I'm not working? I do. All the time. It becomes very difficult for me to separate what people will think versus what I need in the moment. But we're going to be covering this and more, and why your brand message and business should absolutely be moving beyond mimicry. You have to move beyond the trends. It's okay to start with trends. It's okay to do what other people are doing. But the purpose of, for those running businesses, marketing is to be remarkable. And that's to stand out from what your competitors are doing. I'm giving a talk on this on Thursday at SCORE with Melissa Wing. And we're going to be talking about, bringing out your personal brand. But honestly, it's the topic of authenticity. It's how to be authentic in a world. But before any of this, you know how we're starting the day. Morning cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Post in the comments. I see you on Twitch. I see you on YouTube. Take a second. I see you on Facebook. Put in the comments what you're grateful for today so I can hype you. And of course, I'm going to start with what I'm grateful for. Let's talk about it. I'm absolutely grateful for new levels of fitness. This has really been going on. You guys know I've been at this for a long time. Super grateful for my fitness levels right now. I'm able to wear more clothes that I'm very happy with. I'm very happy with my physique. And though I've been getting compliments for a long time, I'm actually starting to reintegrate with this idea that I'm fit. I'm in a good state, and I feel very confident in these outfits and these clothes. So I'm super excited about that. The other thing I'm grateful for today, and again, if you're just jumping on, post what you're grateful for in the comments. Rehearse expressing gratitude. Post your gratitudes in the comments below so I can hype you. So the second thing I'm grateful for is AI automations and AI agents. I know this is super weird, but I am literally deploying AI agents everywhere. In fact, my mental mastermind, I have now created an array of several AI agents who all speak through one agent. I've given them all personalities, and you're hearing it here first. I've been messing with AI agents enough to know that just like you can play a video game and create a character around that video game like Mario, or, a manga character like Goku, or a superhero like Batman, we will be able to create AI agent advisors and support and assistants that are in these personalities. And I'm showing people how. I'll be posting this on YouTube soon. If you wanted a personal assistant that is a 1,000-year-old dragon, Santa Claus, or whatever you think you need, we can program that in. And in the book, Think and Grow Rich, there's the principle of the mastermind. And I'm taking my visualization mastermind and giving them each an AI agent, and I am talking with them through my Telegram. I can show you how to do that. AI agents are, if you thought AI is going to disrupt things, AI agents is turning the world on its head. This AI agents is what caused Microsoft to lay off another 1,000 people. Agents alone, not just ChatGPT. And then I'm grateful for the rebels out there who have risked being misunderstood just to be real. A lot of us get sucked into the roles we play, and it's okay to play roles. Like, you have to choose roles. In fact, this tattoo I have right here represents a variety of things, but one of the things it represents are the roles we play. And we call them masks, but that's unfair. We all play roles: parent, husband, boyfriend, son, employer, employee, whatever it is, student. We all play different roles, and if we do not own those roles, we won't play them well. They'll just plague us. So I'm giving a shout out today to the rebels out there who are risking being misunderstood, and just to be real, as we play all these roles in life and they say, hey, this isn't me, and they shift roles. Shout out to you. So I want to hear from you throughout the morning. What are you grateful for? Please post it in the comments. I need to hear from you. I live for you sharing what you're grateful for and your goals. So post in the comments below, and then let's talk about, oh, and one other thing, if you know of anyone out there who is struggling for their authentic self, fighting for their authentic voice, share today's show with them, tag them or something. I'd love to hear and expand and reach more people with being authentic, because so many of you come to us. When we're holding a workshop, one of the top questions we get is, yes, social media, but how do I be authentic in my reels? How do I be authentic in my content? We talk about that and more, but share it with someone who's been struggling with this. I'd appreciate it. Real quick, article in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in 2015. I found this as I was researching more about authenticity this morning. I asked the question in the Digisphere, are people really happier when they're being authentic or pursuing authenticity? And it was a resounding yes. People who feel that they are living authentically, completely subjective, that could be anything. That could be whatever that person thought. People who feel that they are living authentically experience markedly greater well-being, greater self-esteem. And in a previous episode, we saw that self-esteem means the belief in someone to accomplish an outcome or a goal. And lastly, people who feel that they're living authentically have a higher belief in their long-term goal achievement. Now, I'm going to drop this link in the comments so you can look at this research. You know, I'm not just making stuff up. I'm going to drop this in the comments. You won't have this on Instagram, but you'll have this on YouTube and in LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitch and all those places. Get it there. Great article about living your authentic self. But we're sick of this word. Am I right? Are you sick of the word authentic? Like, it's been shoved at us. And like, my question has been going around. People have been telling me, Grant, make more and more authentic content, make more and more authentic content. And I'm like, I feel like I'm being authentic in my content. I don't know how to be more authentic in my content. What are you talking about? So I finally broke down last week when someone else said, hey, Grant, I think you'd be more authentic if a few, X, Y, and Z happened in your life. And I was like, oh my God, like, how else can I be authentic? So I dove deep and I went, as I typically do, and I look at the origin of the word authentic, and get this. Of all the words I have explored from an etymology perspective, where the word comes from, the history of that word, the evolution of that word, of all of those things, authentic goes back the furthest in maintaining its meaning. The word authentic has held its meaning since the Greeks coined it. So where did it come from? Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Again, Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. And the word authenticity, it's been doing this to us for nearly 2,000 years, maybe more. So real quick, the word authenticity comes from the Latin word authenticus, meaning original or genuine or being original, not just like it is original, but also being original, which is how we use it today. And it comes from the Greek word authentikos. And the pronunciation, we think authentic comes from the word author, to be authored. It's a little different. Authentikos in the Greek is authentikos. It doesn't have the TH. It has the T and then a hard stop, and then the H starts another pronunciation on the word, authentikos. And it's a breakdown of two Greek words, auto, meaning self or self-perpetuating, right? Automobile, right? It goes on its own. And gentes means a doer or a being, like when you see gente in Espanol means the people, right? Gentes is the root of this word. It's the being of someone. So an autogentes, or an authentic person, is someone who is a self-driven being. Now, the Greeks were using this even as they had slaves. If they had a slave who didn't need to be told what to do, they were being authentic. Autentes. I didn't have to tell them what to do. They knew what to do and they acted on it. And what a pure version of this word. To be authentic is to know what to do and to act in alignment with that. That's powerful. The Greeks knew this 2,000, 3,000 years ago as they coined this term. But the word has continued to mean this right up until modern psychology. So it literally means, the word literally means one acting on one's authority, one's own authority. That's powerful. When was the last time, not because of an employer, not because of any reason? Usually parents tend to be authentic because they're acting on their own. Modern psychology, though, calls out something very powerful, and it's this. Authentic means to be in alignment with one's true self, their values, and their voice. Now, this is a very nuanced modern understanding of this word, and we get why. But the reason modern psychology only recently brought this definition to this word is because they started observing a lot of people doing the opposite in a world without true kings. So in a lot of the modern West, you are self-guided, self-directed. In the capitalist laissez-faire world, you can do what you want so long as it's legal, right? You can pursue your dreams, pursue your interests. We live technically free. So why do people act not free? And psychologists said they're not living authentic. And what they meant was, in contrast to the slave in ancient Greece who didn't need to be told what to do, even though they were a slave and oppressed, they knew the responsibilities. They got up and did it. And by responsibilities, I mean they knew what needed to be done. And they did it on their own authority. They didn't have to be whipped or cajoled into doing it. Most of the other slaves did. Modern psychologists realize people are only doing what they're being told to do. They're acting like ancient slaves who are not authentikos, as the Greeks said, authentic. They see a lot of people who know what they should do for their happiness, for their joy, for their responsibilities, for whatever it is. And those should be fused, quite honestly, but they're not doing it. And so modern psychology has coined this term authentic to mean it's someone who it's the exception that proves the rule. This person who steps up, knows what or discovers what they should do, and then goes and does it. That's what it means. And so this word authentic is carried forward. Now we're using it in social media in a very obtuse, abstract way that doesn't make any sense. We don't know what to do with it. So there's a major problem in social media is this. Most people are struggling to live authentically, right? And we can often say, well, they don't have the fortitude or the resilience or the discipline, or they don't know what to do. But I think the truth is most people have an inkling of their intuition, but they're exhausted from performing. Let me say that again. Most people, we think, have little discipline or skill, but I believe they are simply mentally exhausted from performing. They've been hustling for approval or following or mimicking trends, which is okay in the beginning. I'm perfectly okay with you mimicking trends in the beginning, especially as it comes to your marketing, your social media, and then tweaking your personality to fit into any room you enter. It's just not sustainable. And though I do believe in personal development, let's say you truly, authentically want to elevate in real estate investment and you want to be in those rooms, you might tweak yourself a bit for that because that's truly authentically who you want to become. I do believe your authentic pursuit can make you shape your personality as you need, but you have to have a baseline. You have to start with true authenticity. And so if most people, I believe, are not doing this conscientiously from a personal development standpoint, I believe most people are doing this from an obligation or keeping up with the Joneses or just don't know what else to do other than just copy what other people are doing and wondering if it's going to get the outcome they want. And I believe that is mentally and emotionally exhausting. I believe people are just drained. I don't believe people are not being authentic because they don't have discipline. I believe they're drained. And because of that, they can't conjure up the fortitude they need to pursue that authentic life. And so here's what's worse. And social media is going to be a punching bag because we don't know what else to call it. We'll call it the interwebs. The feedback loop of this human species called the internet tells us to be yourself at every corner. And this is why we're so sick of the word authentic. The internet tells us to be ourselves right before rewarding someone else for mimicking. And what I mean by that is this. The algorithm tends to love a certain trend or conformity. And mind you, I don't believe there's an algorithm, as it were. I heard Gary Vee call if you just replace the word algorithm with public or audience or people, it's the people don't enjoy it. The people are on a kick. They want monster movies. They want superhero movies. And these things happen in trends, right? And so the algorithm tends to, reward you if you mimic or act like somebody else. But at the same time, it's telling you to be authentic. So it feels paradoxical. It feels hypocritical quite often, to be honest. So the algorithm is rewarding people on trend, but at the same time, in the other hand, telling you to be authentic. And then we are genuinely trying to level ourselves up and act in a way that gets us to the next level, gives us to the next big boy table, builds our business. And we end up performing the way other people want us to perform. I think people are exhausted. I think people are tired of trying this performance and trying to keep up with this thing. So what's the answer? If every time you edit your truth to fit into someone else's frame, you shrink your fire a little bit, how do you get back to your fire? Every time you try to join that new networking group, every time you try to X, Y, and Z, it's like, man, I cannot do this fast enough. Well, the good news is there's an answer. And the answer is annoying. And I'm going to give you my framework to actually give you action steps and questions to ask yourself. I have 4 quick questions to ask yourself and an action you can take today in order to get back to that fire in your belly, because it's easier. It's much easier to get back to your authentic self than to take a level that's not integrated with who you are or what you even want or even in line with your goals. And this is so fundamental. You guys know I'm the goals daddy. You guys know I'm all about goals. You guys know I absolutely believe we need to be pursuing higher selves and personal development. But I believe a foundational level, the goals have to come from your authentic self. I believe your goals have to come from your authentic self. So I believe before you even set goals, you need to find your authentic self. So before you set the goal to say, I'm going to build a $10 million, I see Daryl Turner, Pest Cartel. He says, amen, 100%. I see someone like Daryl, let's say he sets his sight on building a $10 to $15 million pest control brand. And he's on his way, if not already there. He's on his way. But if he doesn't ask himself, is this integrated with who I am? That's going to be the hardest level up he will ever do, ever. He might spend the rest of his life doing that. Decades. The rule of thumb is this. Every business venture, no matter if it went from 0 to 100,000 or 0 to 100 million, its effective return to you, now that we've been at capitalism long enough, we have hard data for this. Now, the return to you, the founder, is only about 10 years. So if your venture still needs you and is pedaling along and is not fulfilling you like you thought it was after 10 years, if you're fulfilled, keep going. If it's meeting your minimum viable income needs, it's great. But if you feel unfulfilled and it is more of a hindrance to your dream, you need to pivot strategies. It's been too long. I do believe that some people are meant for that, but I believe most people have a more artistic humanist self. And the answer is getting back to your authentic self. So listen, if you want to reclaim your energy, your voice, your confidence, you need to re-tap into your authentic core. Here's my model real quick. And the summary of this is this. Authenticity simply means being the author of your own life. Now, we went back to that word author, but I gave you the history of this word. Autogentes. It's people who operate on their own authority. And in the past, that might have meant being a slave, but not having to be told what to do. In today's modern slavery, you're a mental slave of the mind, and you don't operate on that. You operate on your own internal locus of control, as Stephen Covey called it. What is your internal locus of control? This is the badass I am trying to be. If it's a $10 million company and that's integrated with who you are, go about your life. But if you take a survey and think, I just want to surf and make the minimum viable income between $100,000 and $300,000 a year as a personal development coach or as a writer or something artistic, if you try anything else, it's going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to do. It will be easier to get back to your authentic self. So let's talk about it. Not being a copy, not being an echo, you doing you. How are we going to do it? I love this quote, and I had to put it in here, right here. The most magnetic, profitable, and peaceful version of you is the most real version of you. And I cannot help but think of Marissa Wildleaf. Marissa Wildleaf had a lot of conflict from me, from life, from what she was seeing. But she knew what her authentic self was. She wasn't planted in the right garden. She wasn't in the right location. She wasn't doing the right things that fill her soul. And in spite of all conflict, she went out and found this real version of herself. And she's hiking, and she's magnetic and drawing people into her life. And she's been producing financially for herself for plenty of time. But now her profitability also is integrated with who she is. She's working at the Highlands Botanical Institute, I believe it's something like that. And she's helping people with nature do workshops and learn about their ecology. And it's a hybrid situation where sometimes she works from home, sometimes she works from the office. And she's fulfilled in that. And no, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's way more sunshine and rainbows. She's magnetic, drawing more people to her. She's peaceful. She's at peace with herself in spite of challenges that she's had. And she's profitable. She's providing for herself and then some. The most magnetic, profitable, and peaceful version of you is the real version of you. Get that in your head. And I really believe that there's two paths in this post-AI world. There's two paths for people. Number one, you could dive deep into the capitalist side and build a 7, 8, and 9-figure company with minimal employees. I absolutely believe that. But AI and AI agents are giving us a choice that we could make an MVI, minimum viable income. If you are a minimalist at heart, you don't have to make a ton, 100 to 300 grand a year, and it could vacillate between the two, and you would be just fine for yourself. I'm not talking about a family of 4, right? I'm talking about an individual. You would be just fine, and AI is giving us that opportunity if we'll take it. And so I say that to say, boom, I say that to say, now is the time. Now, some of you want to have the Insta dream. Some of you want to build that 7, 8-figure business. That's fine. But I believe most people's authenticity is on the other side of minimal income, maximal art. Minimal income, maximal authenticity. Minimal income, maximum creation of other things. I just spent the weekend for fun of it, building my entire AI mastermind. I said this in the earlier part of the show. I have AI agents, one representing different people. One represents Benjamin Franklin, and that AI agent is programmed to respond to me, and I have got all the knowledge bases attached to it, and I can chat with it right through the Telegram or any one of my chat softwares and talk to Ben Franklin and say, hey, what should I do about X from your perspective? Then I can talk about wealthy people of the past, Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. I can talk to these people now, and it has their body of knowledge and their tone and their attitude, and then aggregate them as a series of advisors. I built that. To me, it wasn't even a capitalist venture. You know that I love being on the cutting edge of technology, but I also like being at the beach. We call this hope punk. It's where you fuse instead of cyberpunk, where the future of the world is kind of gritty and kind of it's technology and like gritty city living. Hope punk is the fusion of technology with a more abundant, optimistic future integrated with nature. So for me, I love surfing. I love being outside. I love fitness. And I jumped to the edge of that technology. And I believe we can use this technology to create a minimum viable income for ourselves. I believe we can actually create more fun AI agents that are more integrated, almost like gaming, but have real world use and application to us. So all that to say, I believe we're at a major point in our lives when we need to take a timeout. We need to take a knee. And we need to ask ourselves, what are my goals now? Knowing what I now know, What are my goals? We didn't have the tools we had now. The goals you had in 2000 and 2010, the impact you want to make is probably very similar. But the strategy to get there in the means goals, there's means and ends goals, right? I have an end goal to make an impact, right? I have means goals that get me along the way. That should have evolved, because in that evolution, in those new technologies, you have new ways you could get things done. Like I could build you the Think and Grow Rich board of advisors for you. I could put your entire company on a database so you can chat with your company. How would you like to talk with your company and ask it how healthy it is? I can build that. I'm building it for Spark sites right now. I'm building it for HotSpark. And these are beyond automations of posting to social media and marketing. These are talking to your company. We could give it a soul. You could give your entity a soul right now and have a conversation with it. So you have the option. Do I want to build big like I thought I did, or do I want to build small and find my voice? What do I want? No matter what or anything in between, no matter what you want, here's the real framework for living authentically. Number one, recognize, R-E, embrace, A, align, L, live, R-E-A-L. Recognize, embrace, align, and live. This is my Spark Freedom framework for living authentically. And I'm giving this talk to SCORE in a different way about personal branding, but I'm giving a parallel talk on Thursday about this because it's so important that we live authentically. Number one, recognize the masks and roles we wear. Before you can be real, you've got to admit where you've been fake. Hear that again. Before you can be real, you've got to admit where you're being fake and where you've been fake. Ask yourself, here's the first of 4 questions. Question number 1 of 4. Number 1, who am I trying to be right now and why? Who am I trying to be right now and why? You could ask ChatGPT if you've had a lot of conversations with your chat. You can ask it in a new dialogue. Hey, taking into account all my past conversations with you, who am I trying to be right now and why? But journal this question. Who am I trying to be right now and why? Is it Pilates instructor? Is it the fitness bro? Is it a surfer? Is it an artist? Is it a business builder? Is it a personal development coach? And why? That's the second part. And it's really important. Why are you trying to be this thing? Now, you might have a really good reason, but that you need to shout that from the rooftops. It's got to be integrated. It should be on a t-shirt. The impact you're trying to make. Not that, hey, I'm a goal coach, but like I'm leveling people up with their goals. The impact I want to make. Here's the action you can do today. Here's the first of 4 actions. So there's 4 questions and 4 actions. Here's the first of 4 actions you can take right now. Write down 3 situations last week where you changed yourself to fit in. Label the mask or the role you wore. Number 1, were you the expert? Were you the overachiever? Were you the easygoing one? And was it integrated with who you're trying to be? I'm trying to be the reasonable business owner when I do a lot of these lunch and learns. So I put on the polo. I dress up a little bit. I'm starting wanting to think, I don't want to be so reasonable anymore. I want to be wild. Because that's who I am. I want to be energized myself. And it's not very energizing to be the reasonable entrepreneur. I want to be the reasonable, appealing business coach. No, I want to be an electric goal coach where you step up and go, I can do freaking more. Look at this guy living out here. He out here. Ask yourself the question number 1 of 4, who am I trying to be right now and why? And take the action. Write down 3 times last week. You adjusted yourself to fit in. And give it a label. Label that mask. Label that role. And then ask yourself, do I like it? That's R. Realize or recognize the masks and roles you wear. E, for embracing your edges. What are your edges? What are your edges? Your edges are your quirks, your flaws, your intensity. These are not liabilities. They're your leverage. And this isn't lip service. I'm not just saying, power positive thinking. Your quirks, your flaws, your intensities. I know people give you crap about it, but they're not your liabilities. They're your exact leverage, right? The difficulty is the way. Have you heard that before? So ask yourself this question. This is second of 4 questions. What part of myself have I been hiding that might actually be powerful? I wrote this question down and I almost had an emotional breakdown. What part of myself have I been hiding that might actually be powerful? And it's your edges. We know this from permaculture, where a body of water meets a body of land, that edge, there's dynamism there. There's power there. Where two plants touch their leaves, there's dynamism there. Where shade and sunlight meet, there's dynamism there. There is dynamism in your edges. And as it comes to a person, in your quirks, your flaws, your intensity, it's at that edge when that encounters other things that the magic in life happens. So the second question of 4 questions is this: what part of myself have I been hiding that might actually be powerful? And here's the action I want you to take. Choose one of your so-called flaws today. Awkwardness, introversion, being too loud, bold, whatever it is, and intentionally highlight it in your bio or in your post. Go to LinkedIn and add talkative or talks loud or energetic or introverted or whatever it is. Afraid of frogs. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But go to an Instagram or make a post and say, hey, things you didn't know about me. I'm afraid of frogs, or I talk too loud when I get excited. Sorry about you. Post that. Post that. That's the action for you to take, where you're beginning to embrace your quirks. And instead of calling them flaws, making them your leverage point. In fact, I heard it said it's kind of like that Eminem thing where he was in a rap battle and someone was going to try to talk about all his dirty laundry. And he rapped about his own dirty laundry first. But the good news is that your quirks, your intensities, your awkwardnesses, those aren't flaws, by the way. They just haven't met their tribe yet. And if you're around a tribe that keeps shutting it down, pick a new tribe. You're in the wrong playground. Unless your actual integrated self wants to be more like that person, more like that thing. R-E-A-L. R, recognize the mask of the roles. E, embrace your edges. A, align your actions. Listen, being real isn't just a vibe. It's a pattern, and a powerful pattern. One of my mentors, Bud Hollowell, powerful gentleman. He was the last mentor I knew in person. I've had other mentors virtually, remotely, but the last spiritual mentor I had, Bud Hollowell, passed away some time ago now. And we were mourning and grieving with his wife, Sheila Hollowell, who's still with us. And Sheila said this one thing, and it broke me down about Bud. She said, you know what I miss most about Bud? I said, what? She said, I miss his pattern in the world. All we are is a pattern of how we were in any given moment and then the next moment. We are a timeline sequence, a pattern of who we are. And aligning with your authentic self is either janky and awkward because you're not living your authentic self, or it's smooth and vibrant and thriving because it is in alignment with yourself. Being real isn't just a vibe. You're not just vibing. You are a little bit, but it's the pattern of how you've been. And you don't always have to even be smiley or energetic, though we all want to be. Ask yourself the third of 4 questions. The third question is, what would I do right now if I wasn't afraid of being judged? We've heard this question before. What would I do right now if I wasn't afraid of being judged? Let me tell you something. I wore this tank top and my blue light blocker glasses, not because I'm trying to be cool, but because most mornings I wake up like this and I think, cool, or I come home from the gym, I think, cool, I want to go on like this. And then I think, they're going to judge me a little bit, and they're going to look at the outfit, they're going to look at the glasses, they're not going to hear the message. And also, I'm trying to get these business clients, and they're not going to take me seriously. And so I'm afraid of being judged. And in the spirit of authenticity, I made the decision this morning to dress how I am, dress how I come, put on my blue light blockers because I'm sick of my eye strain, and just go, I don't care if I'm being judged this morning. Because today's about being authentic. And at least for today's show, we're going to be authentic. So asking yourself this question, what would I do right now if I wasn't? We've heard this before, but I want you to take time this morning. And I see you watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. I see you on LinkedIn. Post in the comments, please, for me right now. Please act on this. What would I do right now if I was not afraid of being judged? How would I behave today if I was not being judged? And I tell you, if you don't post, you're afraid of being judged. So what you would do right now is you would share with me the thing that you would do right now if you weren't going to be judged. Please, this is not just about confidence. This is about authenticity. Confidence is about convincing other people, right? Courage is about acting in spite of other people, and authenticity is a courageous act. Being real isn't a vibe, it's a pattern. The question is what would I do right now if I wasn't being judged? And here's the action I want you to, the third of 4 actions. This is the third action I need you to take. Audit your calendar this week and replace one or adjust one obligation, one calendar appointment, one meeting with your real values. Do I have something on my calendar that I do not want to do at all, ever? Do I have something on the calendar that I need to cancel? Or do I have something on the calendar that I need to adjust? So maybe we talk about something that's more integrated with who I want to be. Maybe we guide the conversation in a way. Maybe we meet in a location that's more integrated with who I am. Maybe I dress in a way that's more integrated with who I want to be truly. And, my $10 million friend, he's built an amazing company. I got huge respect for him. He came out of the military and he put on a suit and tie, and he's built a currently 7 going on 8-figure company. That's fantastic. He's trying to build a 9-figure company. It's fantastic. But that's integrated with who he is. He loves that. And he thrives in it, and he's magnetic, and he's profitable in it. This is how I am. I want to be at the beach. I want you to come and do business with me because I'm being authentic. I'm a confidence coach. I'm a communications coach. I'm a goal coach. I do all of that. I'm a performance coach, of course, but it begins and ends with me feeling my best. And I feel my best when I'm 1 foot away from stepping into the ocean to go surfing, when I just got back from the gym, and then when I've done this, when I've coached and communicated with people, but I didn't obsess with what people thought, and if I was wearing the right tie, wearing the right suit, trying to be a Fortune 100 dude. That's just not who I am. I can enter those spaces, and they invite me, but as an exception that proves the rule. They know I don't belong there, but they know that they maybe want some eccentric element from my coaching for some other people, and then they'll let me, I've trained Fortune 500 companies, Liberty Tax. They brought me in not because I fit in, but because I had a unique insight that they needed. And then when I went about my business, they went about their business. But you need to align your actions and change the calendar this week. Do something that's more integrated with who you are and your truth. R, recognize your masks and roles. E, embrace your edges. Your eccentricities are not flaws, they're your leverage. A, align your actions. Being real isn't a vibe, it's a pattern on how you work. And asking yourself, what would I do right now if I wasn't afraid of judgment? And number 4, live it loud. Live it loud. Live it loud. Authenticity isn't subtle. It's visible. It has impacts and ripples. Going back to the example of Wildleaf Marissa. She's an introvert, not even an introvert. I can't even say that anymore. She's quieter than I am. I'm a very loud person. She's a very quiet person. But that doesn't mean it's not visible, the changes she's made in her life. She's magnetic. She's profitable. She's at peace. In its own way, her authenticity is loud. She's not loud per se, but her authenticity is. Live who you are very loud. Be who you're going to be. Listen, I saw this great TikTok, and the TikTok said she was super frustrated. She walked up to the camera. She goes, it's like there's no rules anymore. People are doing whatever they want. And then she paused and said, it's like there's no rules anymore. And people are doing what they want. And she said, leaned in and said, it's like there's no rules anymore. And people can live how they want. And when you live how you want, it stands out because A, it might contrast how you've been if you've been living inauthentically. But B, it'll probably conflict with the norm. And that's okay a little bit. It's okay a little bit. That's the point, especially if you're a business owner. Marketing is about being remarkable. And if you're like everyone else, and this is the thing I'm going to share to the score group on Thursday, if your marketing is not remarkable, if I can look at your grid and put it against your competitor's grid and they look the same, nothing is distinguished. And the same is true with your personal brand, whether you're trying to be an infopreneur, whether you're running a small business, whether you just have bigger goals in general. Your authenticity isn't subtle. Even if you might be an introvert and quiet, doesn't matter. Your authenticity will be visible and loud. So here's the 4th question I want you to ask yourself. Where can I show up 10% bolder in alignment with who I really am today? Where can I show up 10% bolder in alignment with who I am today? Is it your clothes? Is it your makeup? Is it how you show up on that meeting? Is it silly with a silly background instead of the normal corporate background? Is it signing off on your emails at work a little friendlier or a little sterner? Is it setting bigger goals? How can I show up 10% bolder today in alignment with who I really am? And here's the action I want you to take. This is a big one. Hey, lean in on this one. This is super important. Today, record and post a 60-second post or story about where you share your truth of something you've been afraid to say about your journey, your business, your beliefs. Post something that is truly vulnerable because that is your edge. That's your difference maker. The difference maker is where you might be a little flawed, where you're challenged, where something is different. Post a 60-second story or video today about where you share truth you've just been afraid to say. And if you want to start, post in the comments. If you're watching this, Billy Weigel says, good morning, Billy Weigel. In the comments, tell me, post a 60-second post where you share a truth you've been afraid to say. And if you're watching, I wear my sunglasses at night, my guy. These are my blue light blockers, my friend. And I went on a whole spiel on why I'm wearing them today. And it has to do with authenticity. So I want you to get busy today posting. I've got these 4 questions. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. In the comments of the show notes, I'm going to post the questions and the actions I need you to take. And I might even turn this into a micro course and re-record it because I think people need to hear this. So how do you get real? Number 1, recognize the masks and roles you play and don't vilify them. Recognize them. E, embrace the edges. Your edges. The places that you think or you've been told are flaws are not flaws at all, but they're absolutely your leverage point. 3, align your actions today. And I gave you a tactic on how to align your actions with your calendar, replacing something on your calendar that's not your authentic self, or modify it so that it is, so that you're not just fitting in, but that you're coming from your internal locus of control. And L, live it loud. Your authenticity is not subtle. REAL. How do you get real? How to get authentic? Now, if you want to hear how the Greeks came up with this word, go back and listen to the replay. If you want to hear my authentic self and why I'm dressed like this today in the spirit of authenticity, go back and check it out. If you want to hear what's going on with us in Colombia in a few weeks, check in with us. We're going to be doing that, but we're going to be doing more and more coaching on authenticity, confidence coaching, how to speak well, not just on camera, but in person, how to achieve your goals. You need to reach out to me. Let me know how I can serve you. But why are we talking about Indians today? Because there's no better time than now. And I'm telling you, the AI and AI agent revolution has not even set in every corner of business. And again, go back on how I'm deploying AI agents to create my counsel. And Billy, you can appreciate this on my mastermind, which is a principle from Think and Grow Rich. And the mastermind principle, I build an imaginary or an internal mastermind that I visualize. Benjamin Franklin is one. An unnamed samurai knight is another. An unnamed astronaut is another. But also, Jesus is one. I create these AI agents and I inform them and educate them and I talk with them. This is changing our world, and it's a mirror back to us because we can literally create the world we want. And here's the thing. I opened with a quote, and it's this. Everyone is an artist until rent is due. Everyone is in the humanities until rent is due. And not about making millions of dollars, but about changing your strategy. Most of us who would rather be artists than build capitalist empires, which I'm not opposed to. I love capitalism. I truly pure capitalism. I love it. But in today's day and age, we have an option to do the minimum viable income. And in the minimum viable income, I believe it's $100,000 to $300,000 a year, not for a family of 5. That's for a person living solo or a minimalist living. I believe that you can build it today and choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure. So with the tools in front of you, I believe you need to zero base your goals, which means I think you need to zero base with your authenticity. And in that authenticity, I think you need to ask yourself, what is it I truly, truly want? Because I can build anything. And more important than all of that is that everyone to the left and right of you feels the same way, but they're looking for someone like you to inspire them. No matter what you do today, remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.